Hi everyone. Today we are going to talk about the web services. And as I explained before, that the backend part or the web server part is an essential part that you need to set it up so that if you have the code from the front end, you could be able to connect to the back end, and the back end, of course, could connect to the database to request for some data and return back to the front end. So this kind of communication is called client-server communication. Generally, when the client connect to the server, it sends what we call the request, and vice versa. When the backend gets some request, it returns some responses. Okay, let's see how to implement the concept of client server, especially for the backend. Firstly, we need to install the software, the necessary software. Actually, there are many texts that you can use in order to complete this job. But for this course, we are going to use this one, the very famous Node.js. It is free, it is open source. You can download from this website, nodejs.org. Okay, you can click here or click the download tab. And then there will be several versions. If you want for Windows, it could be the simplest way to use the Windows versions. Okay, here. Or if you have a Mac OS, you can switch to this. For my computer, it is Linux, so I'm going to use this kind of installation. And I have already done this, so that's why currently I am ready for developing using Node.js. Alright, after finishing the installation, you should be able to have Node.js in your computer, right? Let's check whether it is working. You can click the start menu if you are using Windows and search for command prompt. But here, for me, I'm using Linux, right? So I have a terminal. So open the terminal, okay? It is something similar to command prompt in Windows as well as shells in Mac OS. Okay, open this terminal and then use this command to check whether you have Node.js installed completely successfully in your computer using the command node-v and enter. You should be able to see the version of Node.js, and also it proves that Node.js is ready for our task. Okay, next thing that we have to do is that we have to start writing the backend code, right? So open Visual Studio Code and then open the folder you want. For example, clearly I'm opening the folder here, web. Okay, so it could be any folder you want. We are going to initialize this folder to be Node.js folder. So right now, click this menu, toggle panel, and it should pop up the terminal. Okay, for Windows users, okay, you could see the system prompt here, okay, which is not very nice one because it is with some security so that you cannot run some Node.js command. So I do recommend to click this menu and switch it to command prompt. There should be the command prompt around here for Windows user. For me, it will be bash. Okay, so click it here, and then you should be able to see the command prompt, and it is ready for inputting some command. Okay, to initialize this folder to be Node.js folder, just use this kind of command. It will be the npm, npm init and -y. So this command will initialize this folder and create package.json file. So press enter here and wait for a moment. Okay, you should be able to see this new file, package.json, and the content inside is just some kind of explanation about your project. So next thing that we are going to do is to install some necessary packages to create our backend codes. Okay, so here at the terminal again, we are going to install the very famous package, which is called Express. Express or Express.js is the Node.js extension that help you to create the web server code in a simpler way and efficient way also. So let's see how to do or work with Express very soon. So first thing first, install it. Okay, wait a moment. Okay, if we create a new folder, node modules here, okay, and as well as this installation has been done, if you recheck the package.json file, you will see the package here in the dependencies properties of this configuration. And right now, it is the time to create the real code to start our server. So here in the blank space, you can click this icon to create a new file. And the very famous name to create the server code is app.js. Alright, so let's try to create or start our backend server. So in order to do this, we are going to firstly import the express using const express equal to require. The require command is to import the install package. Alright, so right now we initiate the object of express, and then we want to create its object here using this command. And next thing is that we are ready to create the server or start the server. Okay, so in order to do that, we can use this command app.listen. Okay, and next thing that we have to put as a parameter of this function is the port number. So I'm going to select the very famous port number 3000. You can change to other numbers if you want. If you have some conflicts, of the ports, you can change it to, for example, 3001, 1002, and so on. Okay, so I choose 3000 here, and then it will provide the callback function. Okay, and in this callback function, you can put anything you want. I will try to justly log the message saying that the server is running at the port 3000. So it means that if this command is working well, we should see this message, right? Alright, save this file, and then to the terminal here, what you have to do is justly to call this command node and app.js and press enter. You should be able to see this message, exactly the same thing that you log here. However, you should see that this server is useless because it does not do anything. It just show this message, right? So in order to make this thing more practical, we have to add what we call the route or the service. So let's try to create the first route. Okay. So generally, I would like to explain shortly that when you would like to send some request to the server, you have to specify with which HTTP methods or HTTP verbs that you're going to use. Let's try to use the get method here. Okay, the get method is generally for getting the data from the server or sending the data to the server. I mean, sending the unrestricted to the server, sending some disclosed data to the server. Don't use get service for some sensitive data or secrets like a password. Okay, here I'm going to create, the get service. Okay, the format or the template of service based on Express.js will be something similar to this one. It will be app dot and then the HTTP method, get or post or put or delete, and then the route name. Okay, the route name always start with the slash. For example, something similar to this. Okay, so if you have just only slash, this will be the root service. Okay, whenever you call the domain name or the URL or the IP address of the server, you will see this kind of result. And then you will have the second parameter, which will be the callback. In this callback, you will have two main arguments. The first one is the request, and the second one is the response. As I explained before, request is something that you send from client to server, and response is something that the server will return to the client. Alright, in this simple service, I'm going to just send some simple message back to the client. So I'm going to use the rest and then the send command. Normally, you can specify the status code. Okay, for example, if everything is alright, the most famous status code or the common or the standard status code that we can have to return is 200. 200 means okay, everything is perfect. There is no problem. Okay, so we can do something similar to this one. So hello. So this is the simplest web service or the API that you can generally call this route, and then you will get this message in return. So save this one, and then let's try to see the result. In order to see the result, you have to stop this server. If your server is running, right, we have already changed the code, so that's why we have to restart the server again. To restart the server, you can select the terminal here and click Ctrl+C. Okay, and of course the server will stop and then you will return to the prompt. Okay, every time you change the code, you have to restart the server, right? This is quite tedious. So that's why generally Node.js, the newer version of Node.js, it provides the flags, okay, the watch flag that help us a lot. It will monitor the backend code change and restart the server automatically. In order to do that, you can use this command node and add this flag --watch and then the file name app.js. And one trick is that if you're running the JS file, you can neglect the file extension. You can just call node --watch and app. Okay, so let's try to do this, and you will see that it shows the same message. Server is running here, right? But let's try to change this one, the code here. So for example, change this to hello world and save. You see that the command restart app happens here because we use the watch tag. So this is really nice. You don't have to restart the server every time. Just use the previous command node --watch and app. And this is the time to see the result. Okay, so in order to see the result from this service, you just open your web browsers and call this route. Okay, so currently your web browser is running at port 3000, right? So if you launch your web browser and go to this location, localhost, okay, localhost refer to your IP address 127.0.0.1, okay, and then use colon and port 3000, the port that you mentioned in the code here, right, 3000, okay, and then because the service root or the root service is slash, it is necessarily slash here. Or you can neglect this because the web browser will fill in this one automatically. So press this one, okay, you see that you get the message hello world. Similar things to you put in your codes. Okay, you can go back here and change this thing to another message, for example, hello me, and save. Okay, the backend will start automatically. So when you change this, the backend will restart. However, if you go to the front end, you will see that the front end part will not auto restart for you, right? So you have to refresh this page manually. So every time you call this backend service and you would like to see the updated result, you must refresh the web browser by yourself. Okay, so you see right now, after clicking refresh, you get the updated result. Let's talk a bit about the web API. Okay, so generally this is a code, right? But before writing this kind of service or code, we have to plan for it. We have to design it. So that's why normally we need what we call API specification. There are many or various or standard for API specification. I'm not going to go for those complexities. So I'm going to just only create a table, okay, to represent the API specification. Okay, so normally for the API specification that I'm going to present right now, it will be composed of the name, okay, or the URL, okay, and then the description. Okay, for example, we have the slash or the root service, right? From the previous one, this one, the slash or the root service. The description is, it is a root service, okay? It is a service that we see when we call the URL of the website. Another column is the method, okay? So the method for this service, if you take a look at the code, you will see that it is the get method, right? So that's why you put get here. And then we would like to mention about the request. Sorry. Request is something that you would like to send from the user or the client to the server, right? And you see that from this code, there is nothing for the request. We don't use the request. Okay, all right. So in this case, no request. The server did not send anything. Sorry, the client did not send anything to the server. Okay, so that's why we say that there is no request. Another one is the response code. Okay. So here we have only one condition. When everything is alright, we return 200, right? So that's why we put 200 here. And the last one is the response itself. Okay, it could be the response body or response data or something. Okay, so you see that here we send the message. If everything is alright, we send the message hello me. So the response will be composed of response code and the response body or response data. So alright, so it is a text, right? So I just mentioned it is a text and hello me right now. So this kind of structure is what we call API specification. Generally, we have to do this before writing the code. It is the kind of manual or standard communication between front-end and back-end developer so that they can know how to use the service without jumping into the details of the code. All right. So we are going to practice doing this also. So right now, we are going to see another example. It is the clock, simple time server or clock example. So first thing first, I'm going to design the API specification for the time server example. Okay, so let's say that it will be the time server example here. So we are going to copy this one, okay, and create everything similar to this very soon. So in our time server, the objective is that we are going to render the HTML file and then show the current server time. So the idea is that we are going to have the root service. Okay, so you can copy everything from here. Okay, and the root service, when you call it, this time it will not return a text because it will return the HTML file. So let's try to change this one to be file, and you can provide any name you want. For example, clock.html. Alright, it means that whenever you call the root service, this service will render and return the HTML file to you. So this is the first service for the time server example. There will be another route to get the server time. Okay, for example, I would like to create this route with the name /now. So whenever you call this service, it will of course return the current server time to you. Okay, so let's say that this will be the service to return the current time. Okay, return current server time. Alright, so this will be the idea of this service, to make sure that it will provide the current server time to you, and it will be also the get method. And whenever the client connect to this service, it does not require anything. It does not require to send anything to the server. And of course, if everything is success, it will return 200 response code, and this time it will return the current time in text format. Okay, let's say that it could be a dummy time or something. For example, it could be not hello me, it could be today. Let me change this one to be for example, it could be 03 March of today, okay, 14 or something, and 2026, and could be the current time, which is could be around something. Okay, something quite similar to this one. Okay, so this is the thing that we need from this application, from this service, the current server time. Okay, this is only the dummy. You can put any dummy date time here. But this is the idea that we are going to write the code for. There will be two services, the root service and the /now service that return the server time. Alright, after knowing these two services, let's try to implement them. Okay, switch back to your codes, and then in the root service here, previously as I explained before, it returned this thing, right? It is not correct right now. We are going to change it later. Okay, but before that, we are going to create new service that return the server time. We will play with the HTML file later. So right now, let's try to complete the second service, the /now service here first. Okay, so the format will be the same thing, app.get, okay, and route name. Okay, here, the callback function, request and response, always like this. And then here we are going to get the current date time, right? You can use this kind of simple code to get the current date time. I can say that the current date time now equal to the new date. This is a simple JavaScript function. Okay, to local string, local string. Alright, it will convert the current date time to just only string, okay, in the local format. Okay, and then what we have to do is actually call rest status 200, or you can neglect this one because it is a default. Okay, and then send now, which is currently the text. Alright, so this is the complete of the /now service here. We are doing everything exactly to this guideline. Okay, let's save this file and see the result. To test this service, okay, because it is a GET service, whenever you see the GET service and you want to test it, you can use web browser. Okay, alright, let's test this one. Okay, switch back to your web browser and then add this route name /now. Alright, and press enter. Right now you should get this kind of result, the current date, time. Alright, so it means that this service is working well. Now it is the time to create the HTML file and render it. I would like to say that even this web service is currently working, we are not going to ask the user to jump to this one and see the result, right? We should create the quite nice interface so that the user can see this thing. Okay, and the nice interface will be possible with the HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, right? The front end part. So the thing that we are going to talk about right now is how to connect this service, okay, to the front end or the HTML part. Alright, okay, first thing first, let's try to prepare the web structure for the HTML file and also the images file and other necessary files. So first thing first, I'm going to create the folders for the HTML file and we will name this one views folder here. Okay, I'm going to also create the public folder. Okay, inside this public folder, I'm going to create the img, the image folder here. Okay, so public folder will be the folder that all of its contents will be accessible to the public, okay, without any authentication and authorization. Alright, so let's try to find one image, okay, from the internet, okay, and then we are going to copy this image, okay, to this folder img. Okay, here I have the clock.png file. I just drag it to the image folder. Okay, and I'm going to use this one to display in the HTML file. So next thing that I want to do is that I'm going to go for the views folder. Here, create a new file inside. Okay, and create the file, namely clock.html. Okay, remember that for our API specification, we are going to return this clock.html when the user call the route service, right? Okay, and let's see how to do that. In the clock.html here, I'm going to start with the basic HTML file structure. Okay, and this will be the clock things, the title, and then you can put anything here. Okay, for example, this will be the clock. Okay, something like that. Okay, and then we are going to render this file. Okay, using the backend service. Okay, so save this file and switch to the backend. Remember that this is the front end HTML file and the app.js is the backend. Switch to the backend code here, and what we are going to do is that we are going to modify the route service here. According to the API specification, you will see that the root the root service will return the clock.html file here, right? So that's why what we are going to do is that we are going to do the same thing in our code. Okay, what we are going to do, of course, is to change this one. Instead of send the message, we are going to send file. Okay, using another command, send file here. And then what we have to do is to send this file, right? Clock.html. Okay, the concept is right, but it is not working. Because of what? Because if you run this code, it shouldn't be able to access to this clock.html because this clock.html is inside the views folder. So you have to set the proper path for this. And in order to do that, you can try to add the path manually, okay? Or you can use another powerful library, built-in library called path. Okay, I'm going to do that. Okay, so here I'm going to import another package called path. Okay, and it is from the built-in package path also. Here. You don't have to install it. It is already equipped with Node.js. So next thing that we are going to do is that to use this variable or the import path command to join the file and the folders. Okay. So what we are going to do is that we are going to use this command path.join. Okay. And then it requires two things that you want to join. Okay, let me delete this part. Okay. So first thing first, you want to join the directory name or the name. Okay. With the directory name is the root folders of your project. Okay, in Vue, the program will understand automatically that this underscore, double underscore the name is the current directory name. You would like to join this with the views folders, right? And then slash, and then clock.html. So that's it. Okay, so this is the thing that we want to do. We want to join and create the absolute path, okay, so that we can access to the HTML file that we want. Okay, so after having this one, let's try to switch back to your web browser and just call localhost 3000 without any extension, and you should be able to access the HTML file. If you can remember, we have h1 here, okay, in the HTML file with the clock term, right? So that's why you get the same thing here. So it is working perfectly. You can see the HTML file right now. Next thing that I want to do is to add some images here. Okay, we have the clock.png, right, previously in our image folder here. So let's try to insert that. Okay, so in the HTML code, it is quite simple. What you have to do is just only use the img tag, right? And then you can just call this thing. Okay. The challenge is that how could we call this, this file, clock.png? Can we just only put the name here? The answer is no, you cannot do that. Because you have to provide the proper path for this Oculus image, okay, for this folder and image. It is inside the public and image folder, right? So I do recommend to do something similar to this one, /public, okay, /image, and the file name. All right. So this is something that we will be working if we use, for example, live server extension and so on. But to make this thing work for the backend code, so that the backend code know how to return to the client with this image, you have to set something, set up something, okay, in the backend code too. The front end code is perfect. Okay, you can provide this path or this route, but for the backend code, you need to add some configuration. Okay, so we have to add some what we call middleware a little bit here. Okay, before any starting of the route. Okay, we are going to use this command after use. Okay, and we are going to we are going to pinpoint everything here to the public folder. I will try to use this command in order to make the public folder here to be the static folder. So the command will be something similar to this one, express.static. Okay, you don't have to remember this. It is only one-time usage. You can copy and paste. You can have to join the directory name again, okay, with the public folder. All right. So what is the meaning of this command? This command will make the public folder here and all subfolder or contents inside this public folder to be the static one. So whenever you would like to access the content inside this part, you just call /public. This is the alias, okay, the name of the thing that you represent the public folder. You can change this one to be other name, for example, ABC and so on, so that when you can just want to access to this, you just call /abc/image and clock.png, something like that. But here I want to use the same name, public, here. So it means that every time I want to go to this public folder, just call /public. Okay, save this one. And then after doing this, switch back to the web browser and refresh. You should be able to see the image. The last thing that is missing here is the current server time. Okay, so we have the text, we have the image, but we don't have the server time right now, right? So we are going to add this to the front end part. So the front end part going to have to connect to the back end, get the responses, which is the local date time, and then display it here. So let's try to do that. All right, okay, let's switch back to the front end code here. What we are going to do is, of course, to create the maybe empty space here with some tags such as p. And in this paragraph, we are going to provide the current server time. Okay, and in order to fill in this missing part, we are going to create a JavaScript code, the script here. And actually, you can create it as an external JavaScript file, but for simplicity, I'm going to put it here. All right, so in this part, what we are going to do is that we are going to, of course, when the page is loaded, right, we are going to get the data from the backend and then update this p tag. Okay, so this one is to connect to server, right? Okay, so in order to use JavaScript to connect to the backend service or the web services. There is a built-in command, JavaScript command called fetch. You can use this one. And to use the fetch command, you have different ways. Okay, for example, you can create it and then use the then property and so on, so that you can get the promise and resolve the promise and get the result. But we try to use another modern thing, which is the tie cache as well as async and await. Okay, let's do that. First thing first. When we connect to the backend, there could be some kind of errors, right? So that's why we are going to use the tie cache block in order to cache if there is any error. Okay, so the type will be the thing that we want to do. The cache will be the part that if there is an error. So of course, if there is an error, I will try to alert this error. Okay, something like that. Okay, so what we are going to do in the type part, we are going to, of course, use the fetch command. Okay, so the fetch command will be with this format: fetch command and then the URL. If it is a get connection, it will be very simple. You can just call fetch and /now, right? Because you would like to get the current server time. Okay, when you call this, it will return the response to you. So you have to create a variable, for example, to get this response. Okay, however, the challenge for this fetch command is that it is asynchronous. What does it mean? It is something like when you connect to the backend, the connection could be fast or slow or interrupted according to the connection status, right, between the client and server. Even currently you are simulating your own computer as a server, it can experience that issues. So generally, what we have to do is that we have to say or tell the program that this fetch command needs some time. Okay, we have to wait for it. Okay, so that's why we have to put a keyword called await here. So await keyword here will make this thing wait. Okay, so that the result comes and you get this kind of response. However, the await command cannot be used solely. Okay, it can have to use with another thing which is called async. So it means that whenever you use the await command, everything for this await command must be inside the function. Alright, so that's why we need to create another function, okay, and wrap all the code inside this function. So say that we are going to create a function called, for example, get time, okay, and move all the code here, tie cache here inside this part, okay, and then format this. Alright, and the code will be something quite like this. Okay, so you see that we have the error here because, as I explained before, whenever you use the await keyword, you have to use a couple of this command which is called async. Okay, and where is the location of the async? It should be at the function, in front of the function. Provide this keyword async here. Alright, sorry, async in function. Okay, here. So right now you see that the error is gone. Okay, please understand that whenever we have the await keyword, we have to combine it with the async keyword in front of the function name. Okay, alright. So right now let me explain it again. When we contact to this service /now, okay, generally, if you would like to write it totally perfectly, okay, or completely, you can have to provide something similar to this one, right? Localhost 3000 and /now. However, currently your project is running on this one. I mean, the front end is running on this one, localhost 3000, as the back end is also running on localhost 3000, right? So that's why you don't have to switch this thing. You don't have to mention this thing. You can neglect this to just only this part. But if you have the server and the client running on different servers, on different computers, you need to provide the complete or the exact or absolute part. Alright, so after that, okay, so after getting the response, okay, first thing first that we have to do is that we have to check the response status code. Alright, if you can remember, the response will give us the response body here, right? The code, status code, plus the body, right? So this is the response. So first thing first, we are going to check the response status code, whether it is a success or not. So we can use this command, response.status equal to 200. So this means if everything is perfectly fine, right? We're just doing something here, and otherwise we do something here else. Okay, alright. So If there is something wrong, it will jump to the else case here, and what you have to do is just only alert the error similar to this one, or because it is inside the try and catch, you can do this thing instead. You can throw the error, okay, with some kind of message, for example, connection error. So the throw error here with the message will send the error message here to the cache part, and the cache part will catch this message and alert it. So that's why, yeah, using this one will be similar to alert error. Okay, so this is the error part. If everything is alright, or the okay part here, what you have to do is actually to find this p location and update it, right? So this part will be quite short and simple. What you have to do is just to find this thing and part. But before that, the responded body here that you get, okay, it will be an object, okay. If you can remember from the /now service, this thing will return the text, right? Okay, but this kind of text will be string object, okay. It will be returning to the front end part if we call this service. What we have to do is that we have to convert this thing, okay, to be the text as we want first, okay. Convert body response, body to text, right? Okay, otherwise if we get totally the response body here, it is just the object as I explained, so it couldn't be shown on the front end part, so we need this kind of conversion. Okay, so we are going to use this command. It's very simple. You can say that this one now will be equal to the response dot text, okay. Just use this function to convert it to a text. Okay, the challenge is that this conversion takes time. For example, if your data is large, right, call response.text here could consume a moment, could take a moment. So that's why we need to use this keyword again, await keyword. Okay, because this function is a synchronous function. So that's why we have to use the await keyword. Wait until the conversion has been done, so we get this kind of result. So the last thing is that we just want to show this result to this p tag. So what you have to do is just call this one, right? The very famous front end part, query selector. Oh, sorry. Selector, and then find the p tag, and then the text content, right? Equal to now. And that's it. Okay, so this is just only the front end command. Find the p here, update its content to be the value from the server. Alright, save this code. Okay, and go back to the web browser, refresh this thing. And you will see nothing, of course, because if you take a look of this one, we create the function, right? But we have never called it. So this is my error, sorry. Okay, so when we create this function, don't forget to call it, right? Okay, get the time. Just call the function, and the function is like a get time, right? Just call get time. And that's it. Okay, save this one, go back to this part, refresh this. You should get the current server time. Okay, it is complete. Also, you can make this JavaScript code to be external JavaScript. Okay, to do that, just come to here, around here to this folder, public folder, and right click, select new folder. I'm going to give a name JS for JavaScript, and we are going to provide the JavaScript here, and then move our code there. Okay, so let's create a new file here, for example, clock.js, and inside just move everything here, okay, in the script part here. We cut it, okay, and place it here. Just format it a little bit. Alright, perfect. So this is a JavaScript code. In the clock.html, instead of using the whole script part here, we just call the script, and then source here, and then just use the same part that we use for image, public and so on, slash public JavaScript, right, and then clock.js. Okay, perfect. So this one is external JavaScript right now, link to the HTML file. Save this one and then switch back to the web browser, refresh it, you will get the same result.